Hello?
Still alive.
Who is this?
It's happening again.
Hey guys, today we're reviewing Fear Street 1994.
That's right, guys. Is this teeny slasher flick worth checking out today, or should it stay back in the past where it belongs? Stick around, because we're about to find out.
All right, so forced against my will to watch this movie, Billy, what'd you think?
Yeah, man. As far as slasher flicks go, it wasn't very good. You know,
Well, don't spoil your review. Starts off in the mall, right? We're in the mall.
Yeah, it starts off in a mall, right? Which, you know, you could typically see in any kind of slasher flick, right? Somebody's going to get chased down and murdered. And that's kind of what happens here. You know, you find out pretty early on who a killer is in it, right? Because there's actually more than one killer in this movie. And, it starts out where, a chick gets a phone call in the mall and it's a buddy of hers. And then, you get a couple scare things in there and then she gets killed, right? Not just her, but some other people in the mall. So it almost starts out kind of like a Scream episode, right? And it kind of what it...
The villain kind of starts off looking pretty similar to the guy.
Right. Wearing the skull mask and all that stuff.
Got the little hood thing going on.
Yeah. And so they kind of give you the Scream vibe to this movie, right? But then they also want to throw the paranormal stuff in there. So it's almost like they took like maybe Conjuring and Scream, your typical slasher your typical slasher flick, like your Scream films or your Jason or your Freddy or whatever, and threw a little supernatural horror aspect in there from like maybe some Conjuring or something like that, because you got the witch in this. And said, all right, let's see what we can do with this and see if we can turn this into a good film.
Had a lot of jump scares early on and played like the loud music, guy running across like
just like in Scream. Yeah. But to me it wasn't that the jump scares weren't that scary. It was like they tried making them scary, but they weren't.
I don't think many of them were that effective.
And probably because we've seen so many movies like this now, and we're so used to the Scream genre and franchise and other slasher flicks. That,
it has been a while since there's been one quite like that.
Yeah, it has. But if you've seen them all, like I have, and I know you've seen several of them, then you know what to expect. And this one's no different when it comes to when somebody's going to jump out and kill somebody or stab somebody, or sometimes when you think somebody's jumping out and then it's just a friend behind them, right? So I mean, it's the same thing like any of their slasher films. It didn't scare me, man.
What do you think
nothing
about the
in this movie
kids
scared me.
Did you like the acting?
The kids are okay. I haven't seen them in anything else. I think it's a bunch of new kids, up and coming, I guess. They got off this movie. Didn't really recognize any of them. I thought the acting was okay. I thought for the most part. I mean, there were a couple kids that kind of got on your nerves a little bit, I think.
Which one got on your nerves?
I think the main girl kind of got on my nerves a little bit here and there. Yeah. She, I don't know what it was about her, but she kind of got on my nerves. Just some of the stuff she did and the way she was acting. And I get it. They're high school kids, right? But like in the beginning with all her little drama, and all that, it was just like, come on, man. You're making it out to be way worse than what it really is, kid. You ain't got no idea what real life's like.
Yeah, the only kid that bothered me was the Sunnyvale girl. Her acting didn't seem as good to me as the others in this movie.
Yeah, well, which Sunnyvale girl are you talking about here? You talking about the
main white girl?
Okay, well, she wasn't
the one that everyone's trying to get.
Right. Well, she wasn't the Sunnyvale girl. She was actually Shady Side, who moved to Sunnyvale with her mom, right?
She had a cheerleading outfit that said Sunnyvale.
Yeah, she was from. Yeah, but she was originally from Shady Side, which is where all the main cast of characters are from, right?
But she moved away to Sunnyvale.
Right, and what we're saying here by Sunnyvale, Shady Side. So there's just two communities that are right next door to each other, but they're basically rivals. You got Sunnyvale or Sunnydale, Sunnyvale, whatever, Shady Side. And they've been rivals for years and years and years. And evidently, they try to say that Shady Side's cursed. The Sunnyvale, and the Shady Side's like the poor part of town, right? It's like your poor part of town where the Sunnyvale kids are all rich and mommy and daddy giving them cars and all that stuff. And so you got that poor kid, rich kid rivalry going on with the two towns. And of course, again, evidently Shady Side's cursed. From this old folktale, this witch that was around and cursed the town. So that's where the supernatural aspect comes in here. And I think on this first one, it could have been a cool concept had they played it out better, but I just don't like don't like how they went with it in it.
What'd you think about the high school where people bringing knives,
Oh, yeah, it was-
dragging dolls around? You ever experienced something like that at high school?
Yeah, I mean, this was in the 90s.
Because you went to high school or in the 90s. So
yeah, I mean,
did that bring you back?
Yeah. I mean, I had my pocket knife in high school in the 90s and stuff like that. So I don't think was an issue kind of with the kid having a knife or, now dragging the doll around, yeah.
There's a serious lack of adults in this movie. You don't see any teachers. You rarely see any parents. There's no adults really at all running around besides maybe the two cops and people at the hospital.
The cop and the mayor, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, I mean, generally there's a lack of adults everywhere in this movie.
Yeah, it's primarily focused on the teens. Because this is.
But
like
I mean, you would still expect to see adults. They're at their house. You don't see any adults there.
Yeah,
There's this
parents.
killer on the loose, kind of. No adults there.
Right. You hear about the parents.
They go to the grocery store. No adults there. I mean, there's no adults.
It's like the kid's got parents. You just never see them, right? Well, the one girl, the one that moves to Sunnydale, you end up seeing her mom towards the end.
At the very end.
Yeah, but you never like the rest of the kids. I don't think you ever see their parents, right? I mean, it's completely focused on the kids and them just trying to uncover the whole witch issue that's going on in the town and
even when they're on the bus, there's no adult bus driver.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, or nothing you can see anyway.
They get like erased from the movie almost.
Yeah, pretty much.
Something big goes down. You would expect the bus driver to like stand up and say everyone in their seats, and something happens. You still don't see the bus driver.
Yeah, no, you're right. You never see the bus driver. And then the kids are opening up the back door, right? And you get a bus driver screaming back like, "What the heck are you doing? Shut the door!" So yeah. I mean. That didn't make sense at all, and it just
cops are involved. No one's calling parents.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then there's plenty of times when the cops should have been involved, but they're not around. Right, it's like where the cops at for a lot of this stuff. So, yeah, man, I wasn't a big fan of the first one.
And I didn't even really honestly understand the plot because the movie starts off in a mall. Some random chick kind of gets killed, right?
Yep.
And then later on, there's these bones that get disturbed.
But it wasn't just her, right? They, like 8 people in the mall get killed.
So, but this supernatural thing's after this girl who touched the bones.
Yep.
And they're tracing her blood and stuff like that. But how does that explain the first girl? Like, what's up with her?
Right, it doesn't.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
It's like they rest. This is the plot of the movie. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense because they were active doing stuff before that.
They try to show later on a little bit of that when they show the stone with the names on it, right, of all the people who were turned into killers, and that the kid who turned into the killer's name is on there, right? So that's a supernatural aspect, and the witches apparently getting in their heads and possessing their bodies and turning them into killers, right? So,
but they make it seem like they only want this girl because she disturbed this site,
right? Yeah, and that's exactly it. Well, and because she's seen the witch. Right, so if you've seen the witch, then the witch does not want you to live. She's in a she's in a.
But that girl in the mall didn't see the witch.
No, she was just an unfortunate.
So that seemed to me, maybe I'm missing something here. Just doesn't seem to make much sense to the main plot.
Right. Well, and the kid in the mall in the beginning didn't see the witch either, right? I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know how they get possessed or whatever. I mean, it's a pretty weak story, if you ask me. And other things don't make sense because later on they find out this one girl like made it out. Right? And then she's like, no, they're still coming for you. But that doesn't make much sense either.
Yeah, so we're going to review the second one, and I've actually already watched the second one. He hadn't seen it yet. They explain that more in the second one. So it kind of starts to make sense a little bit, and that's all I'm going to say about that because we're going to do a review on that one. But in this first one,
I don't know if I'm going to watch the second one.
In this first one, there wasn't a lot explained. The story wasn't. You're right. It wasn't that great. It wasn't as good as a Scream or some
not
Flash
even
fix.
close.
No,
this is I would say a pretty terrible movie.
Yeah, no, I would agree. This one was not good. I was not impressed with this movie. I just thought, what are they trying to do?
There's even a scene where like they're trying to get a plan together, and everyone gets like frisky at the same time, which is just weird.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
And like everybody.
Right. Well, because of course in teen slasher flicks, you got to have that, right? You got to have the friskiness in there. So
scenes that don't even seem to make sense. They're just like, okay, everyone, we got to have our frisky scene. Everyone get like, get
half naked.
Yeah, exactly. Take off your shirt. Do this. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, man, I would almost go as far as say this movie sucked. I don't like to want to say that about movies typically, but this one is pretty.
Out of all the movies we reviewed so far, this is the worst.
It's by far the worst. By far the worst. I mean, Infinite was pretty bad. I thought this one is horrible movie. So yeah, I mean,
Is there any saving grace to this movie? What parts were there any parts that
the only saving grace to me is that they actually made 3 of them, so you're hoping they can save it in the next 2. And like I said,
I think they'd try to start off strong.
Well, yeah, but they didn't. They screwed that up horribly. Like they couldn't have screwed it up any worse than they did. There was no strong start at all. But the saving grace is, you really hope they're going to make up for it in the second 2. And like I said, I've seen the second one. Not going to get, not going to ruin it. We'll review it, but yeah, that's really
it gets better.
That's really the only saving grace. But
so I guess if you like this one or just thought it was okay, maybe you should take a shot and see the second one.
Then you should see the second one. Now, the only reason I watched the second one, after watching this first one, is because I figured we'd review them. Had I not thought, well, first of all, I probably wouldn't even watch the first one if we weren't thinking about reviewing it. After that first one, I definitely would not have watched the second one hadn't I thought, okay, we're probably going to be reviewing these, so I'll just go ahead and check the second one out too, which I did. And
you're just deep in this, man.
But otherwise, man, there's no way on earth after watching this first one that I would watch the second one. And that's how bad.
I would say the good parts is the pacing's kind of. I mean, it does seem long. This movie probably should be 25 minutes or so, 20 minutes, or it should end sooner than that. But I will say the ending picked up a little bit for me. The action is better at the end.
Yeah, if they'd just made the end of it, this movie, then we'd be good, right? Then it'd been all right. Because, I mean, there's an awesome death scene, right? And there's a really cool death scene in this movie, towards the end.
Some things happen that I don't think you expect in the end. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, because I thought they were going to, leave it off for, all the main characters survive. And I thought, man, it's going to be pretty dang lame. But then they surprised you some in the end. Like, okay, all right. So... Yeah, I thought there was some cool stuff in the end, but if they made last 20 minutes of the movie, just the whole movie, and just said, all right, prepare for part 2, I'd be like, all right, cool, I'm ready.
If the whole film was like the last 20 minutes, it'd be a pretty decent movie.
Yeah, but it wasn't, unfortunately.
No, it sure really wasn't.
So anyway, that's, that's what I thought about that movie.
What do you give this movie?
Dude, I'm giving this movie a 3. I mean, it was horrible. I'm giving this movie a 3.
Yeah, I feel bad for No Sudden Moves. I gave that a 5, and this is nowhere near like that. So this is probably a 3 or a 4.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 4, and that's being generous, just because the ending was pretty decent and left me on a little bit of a high. So maybe I will check out the second one, especially if you're telling me it's better.
You're going to check it out, man. We're reviewing it.
But I was not impressed with this movie. There's a lot of other better scary slasher flicks than this.
Way better.
So, but I will say it's been a while, and this one seems to be directed more at teenagers. So maybe they'll find it interesting. But for me, not so much.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Teenagers might enjoy this some, and especially since they haven't seen real slasher flicks. Probably and they haven't seen your good Scream series. Or maybe they have, but a lot of young kids nowadays haven't seen that kind of stuff, so they might like this. But if you're a fan of horror and you enjoy slasher flicks, this one's probably gonna let you down. But it is what it is. Hopefully the second one, when we review it, maybe we'll get a better vibe out of it. We'll see. He hadn't seen it yet. I'm not giving away any spoilers, but like I said, I did watch it, and we're gonna review that here soon. But hey, until that review, we appreciate you guys watching us. If you like our channel, hit like and subscribe, and until then, we'll catch you at the next review.
See you guys.
Can't do that, man.
Gave me the signal. He gave me the bat signal kind of thing.
I'm coming to get ya. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Is this teeny slasher fick? Fickily licky flicky bick? Fick. That's right. Is this teeny flasher?
Teeny flasher.
Teeny.
There's a little bit of a teeny flasher, I guess. Oh, God.